Hi, good afternoon. I'm Patrick Ward, Mayor of the City of Lyndhurst, and this is our Chief of Fire, Michael Carroll. And we're here to welcome you today to our new and improved Lyndhurst Fire Station, which we dedicated just recently on September 11th, 2021. After 4 years of active planning, 20 years of needs assessment and nagging by my chief, actually 4 chiefs. But here we are, and we are welcoming you to our new fire station.
As the mayor indicated, the catalyst for this project was due to the cramped space and the changes of equipment and the needs of the fire department over the years. As he alluded to, when we first built the original station, we had a minimum manning of 5 personnel, no female firefighters. And the department grew since that fire station that was incorporated in 1974 to where we're at today. So once we identified the need, we went through needs assessment for the facility to try to identify what shortcomings we have and where we can make improvements upon. And it was a 4-year planning process from the time we started this initial discussion to we actually got to the passage of council to get the project rolling. During those 4 years, we went and looked at other fire stations. We looked at pros and cons of certain fire stations, including some other local ones. We incorporated some of those things in our plan, and then we brought some new concepts into the station to kind of bring us to that 21st century need, and will carry us over into the next, hopefully, several decades moving forward. So with the mayor and council support, the project was a very good success. The architectural firm that we used was one of those members, I believe, was one of the principals designed our original City Hall complex, the building we're in today. And part of the mayor's desire was to whatever we do on the outside really fit into the makeup of the existing space. So from my perspective, I think they did an excellent job, and they met the needs of, you know, the elected officials, not to be this robust Taj Mahal, but also to be, you know, really meet the needs of the department. And I think we were able to accomplish that very well based on the design and the ultimate outcome of the station.
The space that we're in right now, which is now transferred into all city use, when I would come visit the fire department in almost 30 years of service, the day room and kitchen was a space which is quite a bit smaller than this. And that's where the shift spent all of their time, all of their downtime. That's where they watched television, they cooked their meals, they ate together. It was a small, cohesive social space. Over the years, as a councilman in the late 90s, we refurbished it, we added new cabinetry, we tried to dress it up because you know, we had other priorities within the city that were being met. I mean, when we finally sat down to do the 4-year planning process, this need was on the books for almost 20 years. So there was quite a bit of, you know, pushing it down the pike as we built a community center, added on the clerk's office and the police department. We built a new pool, things that were, according to the council at the times, more emergent needs for the community. So finally, when we got to the fire station, you know, I wanted to see a space that our personnel could really enjoy their downtime, but I wanted it to not be ostentatious, be beautiful, useful, durable, and awesome. One of the first things that Chief Carroll and I went and picked out was a stove. We found out that that particular stove needed a lot of things that we didn't want to add to the building, so we got something better. But you know, we were very excited about the opportunity to create the not only the functional spaces for our employees, but the relaxation spaces. Sometimes, and very often, we are on back-to-back-to-back calls, and it can be a very kinetic situation. Most of the service that we're providing to our residents today is emergency transport, and those calls come in fast and furious.
And I think that since we're a 365/7, you know, 24/7 operation, we live here. This is our house. So the 24 hours we're here, just like at home, we've got to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We sleep here, and we wanted to have a space that was very comfortable, but obviously very functional for the firefighters that were on duty. And I think that if you look at the kitchen, we have a nice big island that we can cook our meals at, sit at, a new dining room table. It's got our emblem in the middle of it, which is, the firehouse kitchen table is kind of where we solve all the problems, the world's problems, and discuss the calls, discuss everything that goes on today, meet for our training. And as the mayor stated, the previous kitchen, was our day room, was our training room, was our everything room. So this allowed us some more space, and bluntly, because of COVID, it actually allowed us to work in a safe space and be more separated and still work together in the same unit. For a short period of time during the construction process, because of COVID, we had 3 personnel working in the existing space while the construction was being done in the new space, and 3 personnel in the community center because we couldn't socially distance. So once we were able to move our personnel back together into a single space, that worked really well. And some of the other features that we incorporated in the fire station, we have I'll call it a dirty and clean area. The apparatus room, we'll consider that the dirty area or the red area, and then the second floor is the clean or green area. So we don't want to cross-contaminate with dirty towels, dirty turnout gear, or any of that stuff. So anything on the first floor stays on the first floor. So we have a first floor laundry, we have a first floor turnout gear washer and dryer, so it takes care and keeps all the equipment downstairs. We have a decon shower downstairs, so if we have contaminated equipment, again, it doesn't come up into the living space. We actually have a turnout gear room, which we didn't have before, so all the personnel, that's where they store their gear when they're off duty. When they're on duty, they put it by the apparatus they're assigned for the day. But part of that room or part of that space is a fan to continue to exhaust the air, because as our gear hangs, it's always off-gassing contaminants from maybe a fire we went to earlier that day or a different shift. So that was the other thing that we try to incorporate in the station. And the other thing we really try to do in the bays was if there's training opportunities, because we didn't have really, to do training in our old space we were limited to PowerPoint presentations and watching videos, so we really have one space to really train. So this allowed us to, in the mezzanine, we put anchors in the walls and on the beams. We built in a confined space training area, so it's a hole in the floor that we could practice rope rescue skills, putting someone in a basket and bringing them up through the hole. We have a window, a bailout window, so we can throw a ladder up to the window so we can practice some techniques, vent enter search, or firefighter bailout, and then just general rappelling off the edge of that. So every space we looked at, we really try to look at it and what else can we use it for. So it's not just an apparatus room, it's a training area. And I think that really helped out a lot. And then incorporating the other first floor spaces the mayor alluded to, we moved into this space, the remodel, just to continue with the first floor renovation, and that's how we came up with the Lyndhurst training room. And maybe you can touch base a little bit on that.
Well, at the end of the day, we've created this new fire space, very efficient. The apparatus bays are larger than we had before. They incorporated things such as the turnout gear room, which is negative pressured so that we can keep everybody safer. We have the gear laundry, and everything is, as the chief said, separated. Then we ended up with the former living space and office space, which we have turned into this training center. So it's the Lyndhurst Training Center, remote meeting and training center. And then we have a fitness space, which is utilized by all city employees, which has really been very, very well embraced. The former space was in the basement for fitness training. It wasn't very attractive. This, certainly is more attractive to our employees, and it's gotten quite a bit more utilization, which I'm pleased with. It's nice when a plan comes together. And as the chief alluded, the outdoor space, the outdoor look of this building is seamless. That's what I wanted. The City Hall, the City of Lyndhurst, as it was designed in the late 60s and built in opened in 1974, is iconic Lyndhurst. It's modern. It might not have been what I might have designed, but it is iconically Lyndhurst, and I wanted to make sure that we transitioned seamlessly from one side of the building to the other, and it worked out very well. I mean, our council was very involved. We had a model of the building, and the architect gave us several different roof options that we could lift off and put on, and okay, what do you like best? We really tried to get people's opinions. As Chief said, we visited a lot of other departments, talked to the chiefs and the captains, and listened to some of the things that they were sensitive to maybe in their new builds, where perhaps they're having a little problem, balancing the heating and air conditioning. The dormitory spaces are too cold or too warm, or the thermostats are in the wrong place or zoned improperly. All those things we took back to the architects and to our general contractor and said, okay, we want to address these problems on the front end. We want to design so that we don't have these problems on the back end. And I think it worked out very well. We were very fortunate to choose the construction manager at risk model of contracting. So it really required us to build this addition and renovation in our minds and on paper several different times as we worked toward a budget number. And that budget number was in one place. That was in my head. And they had to meet that budget number, because if we didn't meet that budget number, I knew we could not go forward. And we met the budget number. We did very well, and we were able to add back some things that we had value engineered out or made some adjustments on the fly. We removed some columns that the chief was uncomfortable with, which cost quite a bit of money. We added some hose bibs and things like that to make maintaining our vehicles easier. There were a lot of little things that were added back in that we could look at because the budget was being adhered to. So that's something our council was very sensitive about, something I'm always very sensitive about, and I think something that we achieved very well. So I'm very happy with that result.
We have a locker hall. We don't have a locker room in our fire station. Some of the stations have female locker rooms, male locker rooms. And one of the conferences I went to, and one of the design features that were discussed was, today you may have one female firefighter, tomorrow you may have 5 female firefighters. How big do you build that locker room? Do you say, well, we're going to build it for 5? Well, maybe you'll have 8, or maybe you won't have any for 10 years. So what do you do with that space? So the locker hall was a concept that we came up, well, not really come up with, it was a design feature that we incorporated, which was different because we had a men's locker room and a female locker room, and locker art and some of the things you might see on lockers aren't there anymore, and that's fine. It's good, but it's worked out really well with that flex space, and again, keeping an eye on the future. Which I thought was really, really important. Off the kitchen, as the mayor alluded, and the kitchen, if you look at the kitchen, it's got his personal touch to it for sure. It's very nice, but very functional. People say, well, why do you have 3 refrigerators? Well, we have 3 shifts, and 3 shifts of 8 firefighters. You usually have 1 refrigerator in your house for maybe 4 to 6 people. We have 8 people, so 24 firefighters. Off the kitchen is a training balcony. So we incorporated an anchor so we can do rappelling off the outside of the building. We can open up a gate so we can do ladder rescue and use our ladder truck. So again, we use the space that they can grill on and sit outside in the evenings or use for private time, but it's also very functional for training. So we really try to be flexible to the needs of the firefighters that are here 24/7. And I think that really worked out well. And council, can't be said enough between the mayor and council how supportive they were during this entire project. The mayor actually, I was supposed to get the quasi corner office, which was a little bit smaller, but then the office that I have currently, and he basically ordered me to take the middle office, which I do appreciate now because it does have a bigger window. Challenging project in a lot of ways. It was a lot of work. I'd say I'd be remiss if to say there wasn't a lot of emotion at times with certain discussions, because we have needs as the fire department, the city has needs of budgetary concerns, and to mesh those, we can both meet those needs and come up with a consensus was a process, and it actually was a successful process in the end. Something that I think the elected officials are proud of, I know the firefighters are very proud of, and I think the community as a whole can be very, very proud of. We don't have a Taj Mahal. We have something very, very nice, very, very functional, and something that will carry us into the next several decades.
So on behalf of Chief Carroll and myself and the entire staff of our Lyndhurst Fire Department, I want to thank you for at least virtually touring with us. And I do want to give a shout out to our Southfield Lyndhurst Brush High School audio-visual department and Mr. Zachariah and John, who have graciously filmed us today and actually over several days taking pictures of the various spaces in our new fire department. So thank you.
Thank you. And I'd also like to thank the community for their support, the elected officials and their support during this entire project. I think it's something that we can all be proud of, and it will carry our operations for the next several decades to come. So again, thank you and all those that help. We appreciate it.